Hi, my name is Delaney Schlesinger-Devlin, and today I'm here on the patio of the OKL.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Compton. I'm a second-year student here at Antioch. I use she, her pronouns, and my self-designed major title is, is creating with language, image, and material. I've done 2 co-ops so far. The first one, I co-opted here at Antioch as the ESL service coordinator, and my second co-op was as the CEO of a new startup called Rural Reclaim.
What is ESL?
So ESL is English as a second language, sometimes also referred to as EFL, or English as a foreign language.
And so what did you do as the EFL support service on campus?
Absolutely. So we don't currently have any students that are ESL students necessarily, and during my time in the role, we were currently planning on expanding to include more international students. We received our accreditation to admit international students, so I kind of served in a role of preparing Antioch's resources to make sure we were equipped to support English as second language learners here at Antioch.
What are the things that you did to kind of fill your day in this position?
So I am a qualified ESL teacher. So a little bit of what I worked on was kind of preparing material that would be available to our first year English 101, our comp classes, to make sure that they that class was prepared to also assist people who are not first language English speakers, as well as providing some general guides on how our general curriculum professors would be able to better accommodate English as a foreign second language speakers in their classrooms, and just kind of best practices for having non-first language speakers in their classroom, and being prepared to teach them and properly accommodate their needs as learners.
Awesome. And so why did you want to do this job? What attracted you to this co-op?
So I've been quite interested in teaching English as a second language. I spent a year before coming to Antioch actually as a teacher in Austria, teaching middle school and high schoolers English, and doing that whole program and working and earning my TEFL certification was something that was just interesting to me when I was doing it, and has continued to be an interest in it. That I just enjoy engaging with that kind of learning, language learning specifically, and kind of being on the forefront, the vanguard of English language learning and language learning in general, and best practices. I also split the time partly, so while I was spending about 20 hours a week as the ESL services coordinator, I also was spending the other 20 hours of my work week writing a creative project. I ended up writing one piece of flash fiction a day for the entirety of the term, and actually ended up publishing a collection of flash fiction.
That's awesome. So what is the name of this flash fiction project? Where can people purchase it if they are so interested? What inspired you to do this? Say more words.
Absolutely. So the title of the book is Springtime Feeling, under the pseudonym Rosemary Blake. It's available on all major online retailers and select retail booksellers as well. Search it in Google, find it on Amazon, find it on directly from the publisher at lulubooks.com. Just give it a search, give it a purchase. It's only $10, and it's a wonderful book.
Nice. And so what inspired you to do flash fiction every day? That seems like a really big undertaking.
Yeah, so part of my my major and my main interest is in creative writing. That's what creating with language means. And flash fiction as a form is just something that really interests me as a form to work in. I do most of my writing in either flash fiction or prose poetry, and there's something about the brevity and the ability to capture just a single moment, a feeling, that I really enjoy about flash, specifically as a writing format. I like the constraints
Cool. That's really awesome. And so, how does that co-op kind of connect to your second co-op?
Absolutely. So they're a little disjointed.
I totally disagree, but keep going.
So my second co-op was earlier this year in the fall, and I created a startup alongside another student, Adrian G. Colborn. That is technically the official name of the. It's not a corporation; it's a limited partnership. Is Colborn and Compton Incorporated, and we initially had plans on trying to create a meadery on campus using only local honey and using local flavorants to create just interesting mead. And then as we progressed as a company together, we developed Rural Reclaim, which is an educational, tying my previous education background. It's based around community education and agriculture, and kind of reclaiming a space for queer farmers and queer people interested in agriculture, and just kind of taking back that space.
What was the motivation to kind of take back that space? Like, what inspired it, and why do you find that to be important at all?
So actually, a lot of it ties into one of our professors here, and one of our co-op professors specifically, Beth Bridgman. So Beth offers an array of courses. I had taken 2 in my first year. The first one was a course on seed saving and canning and whatnot. And the second one was a general reskilling course. And they're really focused on kind of community reclamation of skills that were once essential to all communities, but due to the progression of capitalism have kind of been lost. And the idea is to one of Beth's big philosophies, and one that's really resonated with me, is the idea of radical optimism and optimism as a means of political resistance. And it's not just a blind optimism that things will be better, it's going to be fine. It's the idea of, if I believe things will be better and I work to make things better, then things will be better. Mm-hmm. And then one of the ways that we can do that is by just giving our community the skills to not rely on, and kind of end up eventually being able to cut out all of the kind of toxic industry and things that are in our current socioeconomic system that crush community, such as large monoculture farms that are killing the environment, killing people, which is one of the big interests in agriculture that I have, is kind of reducing the influence that monoculture and monocropping does to the world and does to our bodies.
It's not only interesting that you started a company, but it's also really, I think, speaks to the way that these co-ops are kind of formed, where that was not the intention to go and start this kind of like queer rural reclaimed sort of situation. Your intention was to make mead. Mm-hmm. and because of how co-op is and your ability to kind of explore your interest and to develop along with your co-op, then I think it's like a really cool thing. It's a gift in some ways.
Yeah, and one of the ways it kind of grew is when we had this concept, and then when we looked at regulatory law, it would have been quite difficult to get the licensing to sell as anything other than a home brewery. And since that wasn't really our intention was originally to kind of understand the ins and outs of creating a ethical business model, and a non-exploitative business, and how we can function in a capitalist society without functioning using capitalist structures for business, and how a business can benefit the community. And when we kind of were like, well, we can't sell our mead, we can't be profitable on our mead, we can't even break even on our mead, we would essentially have to give it away. We've kind of found the loophole that if you teach a class on mead making, you can charge for the class and gift the mead as a benefit of, and there's no regulatory there's nothing that blocks you from doing that. So that was kind of the first course we then produced, was a course in mead making, where we have the lesson plans drawn out, that you come in and we go through the process. We go through from sanitizing your fermentation vessels to mixing your your ferment to actually, doing the fermentation process to checking on it, to making, assuring, to measuring the alcohol content in the end, doing that whole process of learning how you can brew at home. And, that all of the steps in mead making also apply to winemaking and brewing. That's just, starting with a different ferment. Mm-hmm. And so it's, being able to teach that skill of fermentation of to be able to reclaim that as a thing that people can do in their homes, because originally many people just made their own. Mm-hmm. And that was just and so just getting back to that, just making your own, and trying to ways that a community can return to a local gift economy is something that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, and can you also speak a little bit of how Rural Reclaim has connected to like the Antioch community?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we did, besides just offering, these class concepts, we also developed an online platform in which we featured queer artists, primarily from the Antioch community, but we are also open to hosting queer artists from not the Antioch community necessarily, but we have a partnership with a student, Michael Perea, that we drafted up, in which we found a way to be a non-exploitative seller of Michael's art. We spent the time, worked through a contracting contract. It's funny to say, but it's a general contractor contract that Michael can produce art for us. We take the risk and the cost of printing. And Michael likes to make art for stickers, so we were selling Michael stickers as well as some other prints and whatnot. And and the way it works is we make 2 cents after the cost of the sticker, and the rest of the sale would go to Michael Perea directly. And so that was kind of what we decided was, it's like we cover the cost of printing, we cover all that material cost, so there's no risk to the artist at having to print 100 stickers, give us inventory, and then we sell inventory and take the cut. We take on that full cost and risk, while still being able to earn a little bit on top of just for operational costs for us hosting the website and whatnot. But it also allowed an artist to have these kind of physical materials that the artist can sell and get them out. And Michael's just one of the artists we work with. But
yeah, is there anything else you want to say about either of these two co-ops, or about your experiences or your kind of thoughts on them, or that you want people to know?
I really like the freedom that I was given to kind of create my own paths in my co-ops. I think that's a really important thing, is while the school has a lot of amazing opportunities and connections that they have themselves, they also have space for you to both either find your own opportunity or to create your own opportunity, which is kind of what I was able to take and do in both of mine. I designed both of mine, are self-designed co-ops, in which I was able to kind of pick something that directly interested in me and build an experience that I wanted to have.
Can you describe to me the process of creating a self-designed co-op?
Absolutely. So it starts with conversations with your co-op advisor, or even any of the co-op professors can really help you. While you do have a specific one, I'm in just as much conversation with Beth Bridgman as I am and with my actual advisor, Rick. And just kind of about your ideas, what you're interested in. And, so the process starts the same place, that looking for one that the college has established, where you're kind of identifying what you're interested in doing. And then, I kind of had a plan. I kind of just came up with the idea of, the first one was mead making. It actually arose out of something that I said on the first day of freshman co-op course. So it was when they were just what might be something that interests you, I said, well, I really want to make local botanical gin. And the reason that was completely inviable was that it's illegal to own a still in Ohio without being a licensed still owner.
You can't do anything illegal for your co-op, just to be very clear.
Yeah. So the regulatory law about owning stills completely barred that, and so it transmuted then into mead. And this was just an idea that was spitballed originally, and then ended up growing into my second co-op. And then my first co-op kind of grew out of the idea of I really wanted to further invest myself into my work as a creative writer. And so the book idea came first. My idea to write one piece of flash fiction a day came first. and then we added the ESL on because I had the ability to do it, and we kind of just had to find a way for me to be working on campus in order to have the financial means to live on campus, because it doesn't necessarily cover everything. So it was just being able to cover room and board, and that's why I ended up kind of integrating that, and it was a great experience.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you.